Okay, everybody, we're going to rebuild this Sta-Rite pool pump. We're going to take it apart and put it back together again, and hopefully we'll have some fun. We're going to take the housing and disassemble it from the pump, the main pump housing, by simply removing these. I believe there's 6 bolts here. And when we come back, I'll have all these bolts removed and we'll disassemble it. Okay, welcome back. I have all the bolts removed. So I'm going to wiggle this thing out. And my plan is a couple things. Number one is we're going to replace the diffuser. We're going to replace the seal. We're going to replace the O-ring. And behind this is a impeller. We're going to replace that as well. So I want to completely rebuild this unit. The unit's fairly old, so I'll walk you through it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to remove all the small screws here. From the diffuser. Now, if you look at the diffuser here, you can see it looks relatively new, and it is new. It's brand new. And I'm actually going through this process just to show you how to do it. I've already rebuilt this, to be honest with you. This is a new impeller, new seal. As you can see, it's in good shape. There's a brass bushing here. The one that I replaced with, this was missing. It was destroyed, so I had to replace this. The next thing is the impeller. It's kind of tricky getting this impeller off. But we're going to show you a pretty cool way to do it when we come back. But when we come back, I'm going to take the cover's going to be off, and we're going to be exposed to the back end so we can show you how to twist this impeller off the shaft. So we'll be back in a second. I removed the cover from the back of the motor. There's 2 screws, slides right off. The key now is somehow I have to hold the rod that runs through the motor to the impeller so I can twist it off, because unfortunately when you turn the impeller, the shaft also turns. So in order for me to do that, what I do is if you have a close-up here, this one screw, this holds this detail. Now some are a little bit different than others, but this one, you simply, because I can't get to that shaft, it's a simple removal of the one screw, put it in a safe spot. What I do is I keep all the screws in my little basket there. I'll move this plastic out of the way, and then I'll get my pliers here to remove, I want to remove this spring. You gotta be very careful here. You want to damage it. You have to buy a new one. So I'm gonna carefully remove the spring. It's 1. And then 2. Those are the springs. Get them off. Put them in our little basket here. So now I have access to this shaft. Now I need to grab that shaft and hold it while I spin out the impeller. So what I'll do is I'll get a clamp here and I'll just clamp it in. All right, and I'll hold this one in and see if I can get it out. It's tight, tight as a drum. So what I did last time, I simply grabbed a wrench, and I used the wrench up against the table and then attempted to turn this. Looks like it's a problem here. When we come back, if you come around, you can see that what I'm trying to do here is remove this impeller. In order for me to do that, I'm trying to hold the other end while this removes. So I'm going to go get some rubber gloves and get a good grip on this and take it off. So when we come back, we'll have that thing off. Okay, as you can see, I got the impeller off. I twisted it off, and now the next thing we got to do is get the motor off the housing. And in the back, you can see there's 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. The motor is tied to the housing. So basically, we're going to take those bolts, unloosen them. We'll be able to pull this motor out from the back of the housing. That's next. Okay, I'm going to now remove the plate from the motor. Put that off to the side for now. You can see the next step is to remove the seal. A little trick that I use is I'll grab a socket relatively size of the hole, and I'll just basically tap this out, and here's your seal. So I got the seal out. So now what we're going to do, we're going to put everything back together. So now we got the seal off, we got the impeller off. This is the portion that we're going to replace. So these two are worn out. It gets tossed. We got the motor, we got the housing, and when we come back, we're going to have everything laid out and how we're going to assemble the entire unit. Hello everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to rebuild a Sta-Rite pool pump. Now, here are most of the parts. I decided to rebuild it completely, so I went ahead and purchased a diffuser. And here is the part number if you're looking for it. I replaced the impeller, purchased that online. I also went and got the rod seals for the shaft. Of course, the seal. I bought a new seal O-ring for the housing, and of course I got some lube, so when I put it together it's nice and tight. So we're going to begin by assembling the motor and the impeller. To do that, you need to first replace the seal on the wall, housing wall, and we're going to do that in a few minutes. The toughest part here was removing the impeller from the motor, and to do that, simply had to remove the back plate. There's a plastic detail here that you remove by removing the one screw there, you can see close up. And when you remove it, this swings out of the way, and then you have to find a way to clamp the shaft so you can hold it nice and snug as you unwind the impeller from the shaft. All right, and then once you get it off, you can go ahead and replace all the parts needed, so that the problem that I was having was the water was flowing through the back wall between the motor and the plate. And in order for me to do that, I had to, of course, replace the seal. That's usually the problem here. My seal was rusted. The spring wasn't working properly, so it wasn't getting enough pressure up against the ceramic plates or seal that it goes into. So we'll begin by assembling the seal to the plate, and we'll walk you through as much as we can. Thanks. Okay, now we're going to install the seal, ceramic end up, the white end up. We're going to make sure it's square. We put it in. Very critical. If it's square, it'll go in easier. Take your time. Press against it. You should be able to do it with your hand alone. Okay, looks like it's in there. All right. All right. Okay, now I got the seal in there. Now I'm going to clean it, making sure it's properly clean. I'll get a fresh Q-tip here. Clean that surface off. Get some clean paper towels. Make sure that's nice and clean. Now, what I'll do is I'm going to lay this in here. You can see it says top. It's labeled top. Make sure you put it in the right direction. Okay. Top of the unit. And then I could now lay the other half of the seal rod in. Make sure the black is up against the white ceramic. It's critical that you do it that way. And then you have to screw in the impeller. Now what I'm going to have to do is hold the other end with the clamp and then tighten this down. And once I tighten it down, I'm just going to simply put in the 4 bolts. See the back side here? I'm going to put the 4 bolts in. And when you tighten it down, and be careful because you don't want to tighten it too much where you're going to damage or crack the housing. All right, when we come back, we'll have this portion assembled, and then we'll take the next step. Okay, now we talked about putting the impeller on. So in order for us to screw it in tightly, we're going to have to hold the shaft on the opposite end. So if you come around this end here, you can see what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this little plastic detail that's in the way. And by removing that, I'll be able to have access to that shaft area. So be very gentle. There's a screw there. Don't lose a screw. And then what I normally will do is I'll take a clamp, and this is the shaft. As you can see the shaft turns. Now there's 2 springs that are located on there. I removed them earlier, but there's 2 small springs that you need to remove if you can, and then you can just clamp this down. I have to adjust my wrench here. Okay, so I'm gonna hold that wrench. What I do is I play a little trick here. I'll grab a pipe wrench, so it doesn't allow it to rotate. So right now I'm rotating to come around this end here. You gotta push up against it because remember you're fighting a spring. And when you tighten it down, just hand tighten it. Nothing more than that. or you're going to regret it next time you want to replace your impeller. So right now it's nice and snug. I can remove my clamps and begin to reassemble the detail and the two springs that I've taken out earlier. Let me show you those little springs right there, a close-up of them. There's two springs that go on these two attachment points, and put this detail back on, put the cover on, and we're good to go. All right, thanks. Now we got the impeller on the unit. We got the back plate bolted, right? The next step now is to get the diffuser on. Here's the diffuser that I purchased, all right? And the diffuser, I bought it online. The part number is right there. You can see a close-up of it. And I also bought the seal. All right, so grab yourself a cup of coffee, relax, and go on to the next step. So I'm going to put the diffuser on, and there's actually a label that says top, and there's also the plate also says top. So if you zoom down on this plate, zoom down on the plate, you can see that the bolts line up pretty easily. It's just really nice. And when we come back, I'm going to have the diffuser bolted down. You can see that what comes with it is a small locking washer and a regular washer. Basically, put it in there. Now I've seen it where you get the bolt and just a star washer. These are stainless steel. I've also seen them in brass. I'm sure they're both as durable as the other. So when we come back, we'll have this assembled. Thanks. All right, we've assembled the diffuser on the housing, and we replaced this seal O-ring. I lubed it up nice. I've also lubed up the seat for the large O-ring. Again, that was I purchased that as well, new. Everything pretty much is new here. And now the next step is to place this entire motor assembly into the housing pump. So we're going to take a look, make sure we put the top on the top. And it's easily identified by the label and everything else in the unit. We're going to carefully line up the bolts on the unit. Looks like we're in a little trouble here with this rubber grommet here sliding around on us. Put that back in its place. All right, let's try it again. There we go. Okay, see it's nicely slides right in there. Now, to bolt it, we're going to simply put the washers in. There's two washers, a locking washer and a flat washer. And when you do tighten it, again, alternate the areas that you're tightening up the unit so it goes in there straight in. Don't over tight it. You don't want to crack the housing. And we should be good to go. So when we come back, I believe we're going to be all set here. We can install it into the pump unit by my pool and see if it works. So I hope this was helpful. I know it was frustrating for me to get the information I needed to put this pump back together. And I'm hopeful that this was a complete video on how to do it properly and save you some money. So this is Dan from Buffalo, and wishing you guys a great day. Thank you. Okay, everybody, we're going to finally see if this thing works. Let's turn it on. Oh, we got some good action there. And the most important part is there's no leak. Looks like it's a success. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Have a great day.